interviewing you. God, you and I talk so much anyway. I don't know how we're going to keep this to half an hour, but let me just do a quick intro first, and then I'm going to get you to tell everybody about your awesomeness. This is a live show from She's the Boss. It runs every Monday, and it focuses on female founders and women doing extraordinary things in business. I think that we really need to shine a light on these women, and Belle is definitely one of them. So welcome, Belle.
Thank you, Jules. So lovely to be here and to see you.
And you. So let's start off by telling everybody, what's the name of your business?
The name of the business is Woman Explore, and you can find us at womanexplore.com.
Fantastic. And why did you set it up? What are you doing? What does it do? And why are you doing it?
Okay, we create exclusive retreats for women around the world, and we do them for women that want to go on a holiday with a group of friends or colleagues. We do them for business, and corporate, obviously.
And why? So I know that there's a little backstory to this one. Something that a lot of people may not know about you that I absolutely love is that you've had two massive exits. I mean, for women, certainly you've had a $55 million one that just about happened, and then a $67 million exit. So just tell people a little bit about what you were doing then and how that's led you to setting up Women Explore.
Okay, so the last one I did, obviously you don't do those exits completely on your own.
No.
But I was involved with a bunch of guys actually, and I guess you could compare them to, I don't know if anyone's seen the movie Wall Street, but they were pretty much Gordon Gekko on steroids, and not necessarily in a good way. Right. And so even though it was my idea, I brought the guys in that actually started to set up the business. I ended up, which is funny now because you learn a lot from it, and I do laugh about it, even though probably a lot of people wouldn't. I ended up getting the least out of that $67 million exit. In fact, one of the guys who at the time was a very good friend, I put in asterisks, actually took me to coffee, and I can't believe I agreed at the time. He took me to coffee after we'd been pitching and we pretty much secured the investment money. We were just going through the terms with the group that were going to come in and back the deal.
Yeah.
And he asked me to step out of the deal room and not participate with him anymore. And I did. I agreed. And so hence they wrote agreements that I had the least amount of involvement in. They paid themselves to be directors and to be part of the business, which of course I was never offered. So it goes on and on and on and on.
And it was your idea. It was your initial business.
It was my idea. And I actually offered the idea to the guys that became involved. So I actually offered them the pieces of the business. I could have gone anywhere with it. But I thought they were, again, in asterisk, my friend. Just
so typical. This is
women out there, if you've got guys that you're not really sure and got very, very extensive experience in working in venture capital and they tell you they're your friend, run for the hills.
Them. Yeah, boy, isn't there a learning in that? There's a big learning in that.
It is, and that was the beginning of the concept for Women Explore, to be honest. Because what I realised for me at the time, I was pretty experienced, and I know you've told me this before as well, that venture capital funding is only really made available to about 3% of women that pitch get it. Well, I've actually done it successfully 3 times now.
Wow.
It's
amazing when you see the stats for women's access to money.
And I've done it internationally. So I've done it in Australia and I've done it overseas, and I've done it in very competitive environments. And so I don't say that because, I think I'm better than anyone else. I just have been trained very well. I work for some very big organisations internationally. I worked for Qantas, I worked for Singtel, I worked for Time Inc. that have very rigid business environments, and they're highly competitive, right? So you learn that if you're going to get anywhere, you've really got to be on the front foot, and you've got to own the idea and you've got to put it forward. Now, what I didn't have, so I had all of that, which meant I can pitch, I can put a business concept together, I can drive the economics of that business, I can put a great team together. But what I didn't understand enough of, because there just aren't role models if you look at that 3%.
No.
I didn't have role models. Okay, so I'm in this situation with a bunch of the venture capital guys, or the guys that I was working with in the previous business, $67 million exit is a perfect example. I didn't have anyone to go and ask, hey, this is going on, does this sound okay? They were the guys I would have asked. right?
Yeah, which is one of the reasons why I want women to back each other, and I want to raise the profile of women like you.
Yes.
Because the next time someone does it, at least they'll go, who was that woman who started Women Explore?
Correct. And so I'll put it out there today. Any of you women watching that need that sort of support or want to ask any questions, please get in touch. I'm happy to do that. So Women Explore came out of that idea because what I realised is women are fantastic when they're in their own network. You only just have to look at your group of girlfriends, how supportive they are. Like I've got girlfriends that would literally, drop everything to rescue me if, and I might have not have spoken to them for 3 years, right? So what's remarkable about that is there's an incredible loyalty and an incredible support network, as you've just referenced.
Yeah.
And then on top of it, what I thought with Women Explore, not only could we accelerate that by putting them together in groups in fantastic locations, what if we put mentors in those retreats? So what if we put women that were best in practice at what they do, whether it be PR or, getting noticed as you are, Jules, one of the doyens of that industry, which, I'm just incredibly grateful that we're such great friends because I've learned so much from you already. But business or any kind of unique skill, and women have a lot of them. We just don't recognise the value in them, and we don't know where to find each other when we need it the most. And so Women Explore came out of that. And so we set up retreats for women around the world. We encourage them, if they're a leader in their business world, to bring their own following, and we take all the hassle out of it. So we put all of the background logistics together. We take care of all of the, liability insurance, the management of the flow of the week, the Q&A about travel from your followers, and we let you focus on being their mentor during the week. And
I mean, I'm a huge fan, and I'm running one of my first retreats with you in Bali in June. But listen, I want to go back a minute because one of the things when I first met you that I loved, and I've never heard anyone else say it, is everyone talks about what to do with your money and how you can, stretch it further. But what happens when you have plenty of money and you can do anything you want? And what do you do then? And for you, one of the things I think that started this as well, according to my memory of our initial conversations, was that you were looking for a luxury getaway for yourself, and you were a single woman on your own.
Correct.
And what happened when you went looking?
It was extremely difficult to find them. So a lot of, and again, like-minded women. So I don't want to go. I mean, I've got, a 33, 34-year-old niece who's funky, and I've taken on trips to New York and whatever. We hang out, we've had cocktails. That's not my idea of a long-term, hangout. After 48 hours, you're kind of over it, right? So I wanted women that I can learn from. My whole ethos in life is we get one shot at this, right? So why not try and give it your best shot? But none of us know everything. And as a group, we can learn so much from each other, which just accelerates your own personal journey and your own growth, which then enables you to deliver your own story and dream or goals, which hopefully impacts the greater good. And certainly for me, setting up role models and pathways for women coming behind me on the back of what I've learned and the things that have worked well for me and that haven't. I want women to learn from that as they come behind me.
Yeah. And they will. And the more that you do this, the more that I think it's going to be better. Sorry, I don't mean to keep putting up the legend, Jules, but Kate Freeman is listening, and Kate is an investor and also a helper of women, and she's loving what you're saying. So she's going, great topic, and I'm going, oh, okay, there we go. I'm going to put that.
Well, I've got lots of insight. I mean, I've given you a little touch on the top of it, but all of the money, in fact, interestingly enough, the first investment I got, I was in Hong Kong, and the investment that I got there was from basically the real Gordon Gekko. He was an ex-Wall Street player, and he'd been hugely successful. And he's one of those guys that would lock himself in the office, and we'd come in for meetings in the morning, and everyone go, what's going on? Where's Bill? And they go, he's been trading for 4 days. Well, what do you mean he's been trading for 4 days? Well, he hasn't come out of his office. He's just been in there drinking coffee. So the things that you learn at that level, amazing, and the tactics that they used to use in those days too, still do. At a week.
Dodgy ass.
Sorry?
They all sound as dodgy as. I'm very
Well,
glad
and
that.
it's very much like that. It's an industry that you walk in the room, you are so naive. They can see it a mile away, but they can see you've got a great idea. So their entire game plan is to get as much ownership of that idea before you realise you've given it away. Because then they own the concept, and they can, if you're good, they'll keep you and keep incentivizing you, basically dropping carrots. But you never know how much of it you've lost until
Yeah,
it's
right.
right. So one of the things I'm actually thinking of doing is leading retreats myself through Women Explore.
Yes, you should do that.
Having this is one of the topics, right? So the things that you need to be aware of, the things that you should never do. And there's really a short list of them. I could probably condense it to less than 10 key things that you need to look out for. And you should never go into a deal room without having somebody else on call that you can go and check your deal with when you leave the room. Never sign anything, never agree, obviously, the first pitch.
Yeah, I mean, I was just literally talking with a woman this morning who's about to give away 50% of her business because the guy's got the tech skills.
Yeah.
And I said to her, look at a profit share. If he wants the money, that's great, but don't get into bed with him yet until you know that he's going to stick around and that it's going to work long term.
Right.
But it is, I mean, I've done it myself. I've given big chunks of companies away because I feel like, oh, I found my co-founder. And actually, they stick at it for about a year, and you meanwhile have put in 3 years before that and another 5 years afterwards. So,
And women generally look, and I don't mean to make this sound sort of, that women are helpless creatures, because we're not. We're fierce, right? And we are incredibly capable, and we have a massive resilience. I mean, that's our DNA, right? We're designed to get up, keep going, and we have that empathy. We're designed to care about other people. But social conditioning impacts the way we think about ourselves and value ourselves. And you can't escape that. We're bombarded with that 24/7, that we're not really that tough. All the stuff you see that we should have, we should look, we should be.
Yeah, it should be.
Right. We're the consumers. At least the guys running the show have figured that out. So what's the best way to get us engaged? Tell us we need all their stuff, because we're not good enough until we get their stuff. So it's not surprising that when we go into a deal room and someone offers us something, we think, oh my God, this is the best offer in the world.
Yes.
That'd be really nice to offer me this, because I'm not good at that, right?
Yeah.
The fact that a lot of women need to realise is, if you've got yourself in the deal room, you're 1% of the 1% of the 3%.
Yeah, that's right.
Through the gates, right? So if they're talking to you, know that those guys have got limited amount of time. They're not talking to you unless there's something that they want.
Yeah, I know. I absolutely agree, and I think that the more women we can have like you out there, sort of as an example, as that role model that you didn't have, the better. Because we do go in with, I don't know, I automatically trust people. It's like they have to mess me around before I'll think, oh my God, they're not.
A piece of female DNA that can be taken advantage of, because we tend to lean into other women's stories when we're talking to them. We have no reason to have a Machiavellian view of someone we've just met, right? But I mean, certainly from my experience, I mean, one of these particular guys, he was supposedly a close friend and advisor for multiple decades. I mean,
even worse.
The offers, the promises I've been made that have just evaporated, and then I'm the Antichrist. Just like what? But they're great lessons, because if I'd have checked him out, if I'd looked at his reputation, if I'd have listened to what I was seeing in front of me in meetings that I witnessed, and of course how they deal with other people, it would have been clearly evident that, zero ethics, zero integrity, all that. So I think women need to back themselves a little bit more.
We need to back each other, which is my big thing. Right. Like if you had a group of women who were supporting you, who had the nous and who had some experience, or even were just great at business and were advising you, you would have felt completely different in those negotiations. There is no doubt about that at all.
I wouldn't have done the deal with them. Had I known what I know now. I mean, one of the guys got 10 times what I got out of that deal.
Stop it. All right, now now that we've gone through the horror stories, let's talk about the happy ending, which
Yes.
is that you have now created this amazing business. You've got huge plans for it, that it's going to go global, that we're really going to get women out there connecting with each other, learning and whatever. And because we are now streaming through my business profiles and platforms,
Yeah.
let's talk about how these retreats are an amazing way. And I have to put up my hand and go, I am completely blown away and I love what you're doing, because a lot of women are running big communities and they'd love to do a retreat, but they've tried it and they've made no money. And I can't tell you how many people have told me that. So they go, yeah, love the idea of a retreat, but what's the point? You're going to make, $3,000 out of it. You're going to spend 3 months trying to organize the whole bloody thing. If you want to go overseas, it's even harder. So what I love about you, and I guess what I wanted to share with everyone, is that with Women Explore, people can partner with you. You basically help us come up with, so if I go to you and I go, right, I reckon my customers might be able to spend, say, $5,000. You can then say, well, look, here are the 3 different places or the 5 different places that we could go. And I know you do Morocco and Paris and Maldives, which I'm going to do one later this year, as well as Bali and Margaret River and Byron Bay. So really kind of fits with various people's budgets. But what I love about it is that I can then put a loading on top of it. So if I'm taking 10 women, I might put 1,000 or 2,000 on top of it and walk away with 20 grand profit. And I don't have anything that I need to worry about in the beginning. That's what I love about yours. So, I mean, we spoke with someone on Friday who said, don't I have to pay the deposit? No, you cover all of that. So tell people a little bit about how it all works and the sort of places you're going.
Yeah, it's sort of again on the back of what we've just been talking about. What I've realized just generally is that women again are so they don't have the confidence to think that actually maybe there's a way that I could make money out of this. That's bigger than that. And that comes from valuing their own services and valuing what they do. So what I realized is if you compress that with a whole bunch of other stuff that they have to hurdle through, like, if you try and phone up individually a hotel and ask for 20 rooms, who are you, right? So what we recognised is I have a global relationship with IHG, which is the Intercontinental Hotel Network. That's through a fantastic colleague of mine in London, who's the Managing Director Europe for IHG. We realised that we could take all of that pain away because it's really just organising stuff that we already know, we already do.
Yeah.
We have been doing that for a sister business that was focused on surfing for the past 3 or 4 years. And this side of the business has really developed very quickly. So we've decided to condense it and move forward with the retreat focus. But basically, if I realise if I put the financial package, so basically, again, backing up to what we just said, if I became the role model for you that put together all of the commercial piece that you could trust, and then sat with you and said, now listen, what do you want to run through the retreat? In your case, Jules, we talked about it and you said, actually, I've got these courses I'm running called Women of Influence. I said, well, how much are they? What do you normally do over that period of time? And well, actually, you're sitting with women for 7 days. That has a price that you can load into it. And what I enable you to do is basically load what you'd make in a course over 6 weeks or 3 months or a year or whatever into the pricing of your retreat. And then I just pass that through to you at the end because I'm happy for you to make money out of that because my view is if you're successful at what you do, you'll continue to do more of it and therefore you'll impact more women in a positive way. That's so if I can be the pebble in the pond to enable multiple women to do that, then that's my ultimate goal.
And I think for a lot of people who are coaches and people who are running communities or groups, that taking the pain out of the organization of it. I think we all know that if we get to go away with a small group of women, that it's very bonding, that a lot can be learned, that you make those business besties that then you can refer people to. And really my whole thing is about lifting women up. So if you're going to come on an event with me, then I want you to be able to help the women around you and that we all benefit from it. And I think that the fact that you're targeting women, the fact that you are particularly taking away all of their sort of anxiety. I mean, literally, I say to people, I'm running an event, I discuss it with you, you give me the landing page, which is all done according to my schedule and what I'd like to teach. And then I just go and sell tickets and I get to go for free. So it's like such a sweet deal.
So,
that I just want people to, I want all the women listening basically to go and contact you and start running retreats.
Yeah, well, hopefully you'll do that, because I really believe in the power to change the world. And if we can help facilitate that, I mean, obviously we need to make money so I can pay my staff. And yes, there's a commercial premise to what we do, but that's not my goal. I mean, I've had a lot of money and have enough, right? What I really want to do is make it easier for women to get out there and make a difference. And they can do it by not only, if you think about it, every single woman that leads a retreat is a role model.
Yeah, that's right. Absolutely. 100%. 100%.
You're impacting all of those women with your knowledge in such an intense way that you are changing their lives during a week. And you have the potential to do that. And we make sure that it's worthwhile for you. So you make money out of it. So you're not losing money if you're away from your day-to-day business. We have a fantastic marketing team, and who heads up my marketing side. She's worked with me now for, nearly a decade. Is a genius. And we realized that's another piece that we realized you guys had trouble doing, that we could easily put together a set of marketing assets for you.
Yeah.
And so part of the package, to your point, the retreat lead goes for free. They get the commercial package, which means we do all of the transaction engine, all of the liability insurance, all of the logistics, and
no deposit. And that's the other thing that when we were talking on Friday, someone said, what about, do I have to pay the deposit up front? No, we just make the deal with you and make sure that we get
that's in most cases, Jules. So things like private yachts, we do those in the Maldives as well. Sometimes there's some slight commercial differences, but in most cases, we certainly have a time frame that, in fact, we have somebody at the moment we're working on for a major international retreat. And what we're negotiating with the hotel, because it's a very small group, it's a very exclusive group, and it's a very famous city. And we're negotiating with the hotel to say, all right, they think the women that are going on that tour will want to pay really quickly because they want to secure a spot because it's a very expensive one. So the hotel, we're organising, okay, hold off on any money up front for 2 or 3 months. We'll pay within that period.
You can do, and we wouldn't have a hope in hell of doing.
Correct.
So talk to me a little bit about some of the retreats that you have done like that, other than my fabulous retreat. You've also worked with Kate Christie. You're working with Linda Fisk, Jane Vandermeer, some great friends of mine, and organising things. But you've done a few as well. So tell us a little bit about how they have worked.
Yeah, we've done quite a few. We've done yoga retreats on private yachts in the Maldives. We've done we've done we had one group of crew that were emergency nurses and doctors from a hospital in Victoria.
Oh, you're right. So the other thing we should talk about is team building, of course. I'm thinking, putting my entrepreneur's hat on and going, if you've got a community, you'd want that. But there's also corporate and business is definitely a piece that we're looking at, because really, again, there's not a lot for female executives. They're focused on golf or, of course, whatever the guys are really into. So it's a product we're definitely putting together at the moment. I know. Look, you get to a point, don't you, where you just eye roll. And we are, look, we've had some amazing ones. One of the most amazing stories, I think, and we do them also for fun. So we have groups of women as friends and family. 50th birthdays and 40th birthdays go away with the girls. I mean, and that's great too.
Correct. And look, one of the most astounding ones, and it's sort of a little bit of a dark story, but on the other side of it, I was so humbled, and it really made me realise that what we're doing, which is what I mentioned, presenting role models, is so much bigger. Just going away for a week, which is another reason I wanted to make it easier, because I don't want you guys feeling like you can't do it, because it's actually not that difficult if you know what you're doing, right? And we know what we're doing. So I had a customer, this was a couple of years ago, on one of our first big surfing tours. We take women learning to surf to Bali. And in those days, I used to read every single one of the customer reviews at the end of the tour. Now there's too many, I don't do them always, but in those days I did. And one of the reviews after the Bali retreat was like literally about this long, and I was like, oh my God, this is not going to be good. Like, what is this? Anyway, I just started reading with my business hat on, and it started with, I know you've probably heard women say this before, that the retreat changed their life, but I need to really tell you that if it wasn't for this retreat, I wouldn't be here.
Oh my God.
Like, holy crap.
Wow.
Anyway, what happened, this woman was going through an incredibly difficult phase in her life, and the only reason she went on that retreat was because her husband bought it for her, because when she was a teenager, she'd loved to surf. And what it did, then she sort of talked through it, and she said, as a result of what I've done, being in a group of supportive women, giving me a new perspective on who I am and what I'm capable of, I recognize now just how much I've got to live for, and I'm going to go home doing more.
Oh, brilliant.
Fantastic. So I remember ringing my team, or we had a management meeting that week, and I said to them then, okay, guys, we're not in the surf business. We're not in the travel business. So what that really did for me is make sure that when we craft the retreats, we have a real sensitivity to the humanity of what we're doing. And that is something we always include. So not only is it fun, but we really want to have an embedded sense of encouragement for everyone that participates.
Fantastic. It's amazing. And just we've only got a couple more minutes, but before we go, one of the things I'd love you to do is just give people an idea of the breadth of the destinations you can do. And I know you can do any, but just give them an idea of some of the ones that you've kind of earmarked as being great places for retreats.
Well, one of the brilliant ones, and just, I can't not mention Linda Fisk's. That's one of our biggest this year, and we're taking 30 women to the Maldives.
Fantastic.
And Linda is a doyen, as you know, of business and in building profile, and based in the United States. So that's pretty exciting for us because we love Linda and she's a genius. So we're really, really happy to be running that. But we're also working on one for New York. We will do multiple retreats in the United States over the next 12 months. One of the big exciting ones, as you mentioned, is Jane Vandermeer's to Paris. We're talking about Barcelona. We're talking about multiple locations in Asia.
And then what about in Australia? If people
we've got all the top locations in Australia, and they can be within a short distance of capital cities. Like, we have a fantastic partner hotel, as an example, in Newcastle, which is a hotel to the one we use in Byron Bay. They don't all have to be high-end expensive. So we can do them that are within a range. So, and we do 3-night and 7-night. So if you think your followers don't have the capacity of time or budget to do a 7-night international, we can do a 3-night domestic Australia. And they're actually very good to do short, small workshops to build your following.
Yeah, love it. Absolutely love it. Okay. You won't believe it, but we've run out of time. I know you and I normally talk for about 3 hours, so I don't know how that half hour disappeared. But if people want to connect with you, so you're on LinkedIn as Belinda Bradford.
I am.
You're on Facebook as Belle Bradford, I think, is it? Or is it Belinda? Yeah, Belle. And then what's the website? Give the spelling, because I got it wrong last week and referred someone, and they went, I can't find it anywhere. And I was like, oh. So tell people how to find you.
It's woman, so singular, WOMAN, explore.com.
Yep.
And you can contact us by just emailing hello@womanexplore.com.
Fantastic.
Or you can reach out to me, reach out to me via LinkedIn. I'm happy to chat to whoever wants to talk to us about their business ideas and building retreats. And as I said earlier, if anyone's in the middle of doing a deal and wants some advice, happy for you to give me a buzz.
And I absolutely love, I think in the beginning we had initially talked about doing something where we bring female founders together, particularly ones who might be trying to secure capital. So I'm going to encourage you to continue with that idea. And Kate Freeman, who has been commenting on this post, would be a great partner for you. So
thanks, Jules.
I will do that intro so that you can meet each other.
Brilliant. And we've got connections to several major venture capital groups where we're looking at doing events for their female founders. And so that's something I'm also really, because I've, again, had terrible experiences with people that are supposedly extremely experienced in industry leaders at investment and exits. and they're terrible mentors. And
apart from anything else, is the support, knowing that you were there with a group of other women doing in the same boat. Makes a big difference. Now, we've run out of time. Just before we go, I just want to say thank you for watching. If you've been watching this, please check out she'sthebossgroup.com for my brilliant community of female founders and fabulous women who you will love. We all believe in supporting other women and providing role models. You can connect with me on LinkedIn, and if you're on LinkedIn and you're seeing this, you probably are already connected, or you can join our Facebook She's the Boss group. I also run a course called How to Become a Woman of Influence, and I have recently started groups on both Facebook and LinkedIn called Australian Women Speakers. And I think, Belle, you and I might need to do something with those Australian women speakers as well.
Well, it's on the list. As you know, we've got a list of things we're working through.
That's right.
Both Jules and my LinkedIn pages, you'll see a whole range of topics rolling out over the next 12 months. We're pretty excited by what we've got coming, I think.
Oh, yeah, I think that you and I are a pretty good mix. All right, we better go because we've taken an extra minute anyway. Thank you so much.
No, thank you very much.
I can't wait to share this.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate the time.
My pleasure.